Spurge here, and today on the table we have the Sena Stryker Mesh Bluetooth helmet. So if you're looking at this helmet, you are considering a lid that has Sena's 50R, 50S technology already baked into the helmet. Now this is coming in around the $600 price point, and just keep in mind that if you were just looking at a 50S or a 50R on its own, you'd be looking at a comm system that comes in around $360. So that's where a lot of the price of this helmet is going. When you look at the helmet itself, you know, if I was comparing this against other $600 helmets in the market, it doesn't quite measure up to the refinement that we'd expect to see. And let's just get into that right away. We'll talk about the features of the helmet, and then we'll talk about exactly what you can expect from a Bluetooth or comm system that is baked, from the Bluetooth or comm system that's baked into this. So the shell itself is a composite fiberglass shell. There are two different shell sizes with two different EPS liners. The first shell size will get you from small up to large. The second shell size will get you from extra large up to 2XL. Typically in a helmet of this price point, we'd like to see at least 3, possibly 4 shell sizes just to change the actual physical size of the outside of the shell, so it's smaller for smaller sizes and larger for larger sizes. However, 3 pounds, 12 ounces in a large isn't too shabby, considering the fact that this has an entire comm system with batteries and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi all built into the helmet itself. So again, 3 pounds, 12 ounces in a large, and the fit on this is intermediate oval. What that means for you, a little bit longer front to back, slightly narrower on the side of the head. If we had to say anything about this fit, it leans a little bit towards the round oval side, which is different than the Sena helmet that we talked about, that is the modular helmet, which is intermediate oval but leans a little bit to the long oval side. So fits a little bit differently than some of the other helmets that are in Sena's line. Now, this is going to be a DOT only helmet, so there's no ECE rating, there's no Snell rating with this. DOT only, again, something around the $600 price point. Typically, we would be looking for an ECE or a Snell rating with this. What the other part of this is that you're going to see is on the back, you have a little LED light on the back. This is not a brake light the way we would see from something like Brake Free. But what you can do is you can use the Sena app and you can set this in 3 different modes so it flashes while you're riding, and it just gives you a little bit of extra visibility baked into the back of the helmet. And that's, you know, going to play a little bit into the weight as well when we're talking about the weight on this. Now, from a venting perspective, you've got an intake vent on the chin, and then you've got 3 vents up top. So 4 total active intake vents. One of the things that I will say is that the actual actuation of the vents themselves, especially these side vents, just feels very loose to me. And this is, again, where we're talking about that $600 price point of a helmet that has a comm system built in versus just a $600 helmet. So, you know, it just feels a little bit cheap and loose. The other thing that I wasn't too fond of is the face shield on this. It's the old design where there's just a little plastic tab down here that kind of pops in, and there's really no detents. There's like one little flimsy detents right in the middle, and it just, the whole thing just feels kind of loose overall. So I would expect, you know, a much more sophisticated face shield included in a helmet at this price point. There's no pin lock insert included with this. The face shield itself is not pin lock ready, so there's really no capabilities for pin lock on this particular helmet. If you're not familiar, pin lock is a little additional shield you can add to the inside, which eliminates fogging in cooler conditions or humid conditions, something that we've come to see as standard in a lot of helmets at this particular price point. There is going to be a drop-down internal sun visor. You have the actuation on the side, so in the down position, it's open, and in the up position, it's fully closed. And there's no in-between. Like with some manufacturers, you can see they've got different layers to kind of get a little bit closer to your nose bridge. In this particular one, it's either up or down. Spinning around to the side on this, this is where you're going to have your controls for the comm system. We'll get into the details in just a minute, I promise you. But you have your controls for the comm system all the way over on the back of the head. A little bit of an awkward position. I'd be interested to see if they could kind of move that either a little bit closer to the face shield itself, or maybe down on the bottom. You kind of have to reach around behind you as it stands right now, but keeping in mind that these units do have the phone assist feature from Sena, so you can use Hey Siri, Hey Google for all of your voice commands that you would use for your regular smartphone device. And then coming around to the back, you are going to have exhaust vents. They're passive exhaust vents. There's no way to close those off. None down on the bottom, just the one vent going across the top here. I think Sena might say that that's 3 separate vents. To me, that's just one large exhaust vent. And you can kind of see the profile on this particular lid is a bit sporty in its design. Let's take a look now on the inside. And this is where we're going to get into some of the meat and potatoes of the actual comm system, starting with the charging port on the back. So this is going to utilize Sena's fast charging port. You're going to have two different options. You're going to get a traditional charging cable that connects, and that goes directly into USB. And this is kind of very similar to what you would have seen from a Mac computer in previous generations. You're also going to get the adapter for USB-C. So if you have a USB-C charging cable, this gets you into fast charging territory. And again, that's just a little adapter there, and you plug your USB-C cable into that. And then that's going to get you into an area where if you're riding along and you start to notice that your helmet's battery is getting low, that's going to get you fast charging. So you stop at a diner, you're having dinner, you plug the helmet in, roughly 20 minutes of charge will get you anywhere from 3 hours of additional talk time if you're using mesh technology, to up to 6 hours of additional talk time if you're using Bluetooth technology. So let's rip the helmet apart. We'll see the speakers, and we'll kind of address some of those other details. So it is a ratcheting strap for a closure. Some people love a ratcheting strap, some people hate it. This is something that I'm not going to say it's good or it's bad, but depending on whether or not you're a fan of ratcheting straps, just note that this is a ratcheting strap closure. And then the cheek pads are simply going to snap out, and then they just pull out of the base liner. This is a bit different of a design than what we saw with the other Sena modular helmet. So these don't have the little arrows. This whole plastic tab just goes directly into the shell of the helmet, and then there's two snaps. Contoured cheek pad, and again, unlike the modular one, these aren't going to necessarily be designed or have the little logo for eyeglasses or sunglasses, but I found that this helmet still works relatively well if you are a sunglass user or an eyeglass user. Now, removing the liner itself, one of the things you'll see here is that there are no brow snaps. It actually mounts up into the brow of the shell, so there's no undue pressure points at the front. That's a nice comfort upgrade, and then just two smaller snaps at the back behind the thicker layer of padding. So overall, a nice removable liner, easy to wash. If you're someone like myself that sweats a lot, I find that I'm taking my helmet interior out more often than not to wash it. You do have a removable chin skirt at the front. And then if you're taking a look at the inside here, so first and foremost, those channels that are cut out to promote airflow, you've got the intake vents at the top, you've got channels in the EPS pushing into, I like the fact that the channels are a bit deeper on this one than on the modular helmet, helps to just kind of push that airflow through a little bit easier. And then the real story here is those speakers, right? So the speakers, the comm system, it's already wired in. If you're not familiar with the 50S and the 50R from Sena, would definitely recommend watching that video. That's where we're going to break down a lot of the details here. But the real story is that these are now upgraded with Harman Kardon speakers. If you're not familiar, Harman Kardon for my generation was like the premium audio system you could get in line with something like a Bose. They're now going to be designing speakers for Sena. They actually own JBL as well. Fun fact, JBL is the premium speaker that's used by Sena's biggest competitor, Kardon. So now Sena is really making an effort to level up their audio quality game, and they're working with Harman Kardon to do that. So the biggest difference with the helmet versus just buying the unit by itself is that large foam donut that you're going to see there helps to channel the audio directly into your old ear canal and give you a better audio experience. The other features of this particular helmet when it comes into this is that it's Bluetooth 5.0, and what that means for you is that you can connect this with 4 riders total using a Bluetooth connection. The entire overall span of those riders can equal about 1.2 miles, but the real story with the upgrade of going to a 50S or a 50R, if you've seen the video, you know it's the mesh technology. So the mesh technology with this particular helmet means that if you are in a private mode, you can connect with up to 24 other riders. That's a pretty big group. However, if that group isn't big enough for you, you can go into open mode. And open mode allows you to connect to an unlimited amount of riders. I don't have an unlimited amount of friends. Maybe you do. If so, you can do an unlimited amount of riders with up to a 5-mile range total, with different riders kind of piggybacking off. The other nice thing about mesh is if someone does get disconnected, they ride right back into the pack, and wham, bam, they are back in. Like I said earlier too, There's the phone assist mode with this. You can go ahead and say, hey Siri, hey Google for all your voice commands. Wi-Fi is baked into the helmet, so when you're charging, as long as you're connected to a Wi-Fi signal, it automatically firmware updates the helmet, so you never have to worry about updating the firmware again. All of that is controlled through Sena's motorcycle app. There have been a lot of complaints from Sena riders in the past saying there's too many apps, it's too confusing. It seems that right now Sena is going to a more universal one app system for all their different comm systems out there. That is going to be the Sena motorcycle app as we can see it right now. And in that, you're also going to get a lot of technology with being able to upgrade the audio experience that you're getting, and that includes the microphone as well. So the microphones on these that are built into the chin bar are going to be Harman Kardon mics, so they did get a microphone upgrade as well, but you can go into that equalizer and you can fine-tune your entire audio experience. So there's definitely a lot going on here when you're considering the technology that is baked into this from an electronic standpoint. Would definitely recommend checking out that 50S 50R video, and you might be trying to make a decision for yourself. Do you want to be looking at a helmet that's $600 that has that technology already baked into it? Or do you want to consider getting a helmet or adding a comm system to an existing helmet? And there's a lot of different options out there. Like I said, the comm systems on their own come in around $360 for a 50S or a 50R. And then when you're looking at this particular helmet, the whole thing, all inclusive, is around $600. So that's where it's not really fair to take this helmet and compare it to, you know, a $600 helmet. But what I wanted to do in this video was just kind of show you the features where if you were to compare this to a $600 helmet, the Sena is just not quite holding up from a quality standpoint. And the main points there are the face shield and then the ventilation on this particular piece. The fact that it's only DOT only, you're getting limited shell sizes. Again, something more in line with what we'd see from possibly, you know, a $350 helmet. So there's a lot of information to digest here. If you want to take some more time and go through all the details, click the info button on your desktop or mobile device. That'll take you over to the product page where you can read all the information on the helmet itself or get into some of the nitty-gritty on the comm system side of things. There's also going to be rider reviews. You can read reviews from other folks that are already out there putting the Sena helmet through its paces. And if you're still confused, you're not sure which helmet or which comm system is right for you, please reach out to our customer service team. They are always there to make sure that you are set up with the right communication system, the right helmet for your riding style, as well as for your budget. I want to thank you for joining us today for this look at the Sena Stryker Mesh Bluetooth helmet. I'm Spurge. Enjoy the ride.